Hello YouTube! Subnautica 2's first major update has finally arrived. Before anyone gets too excited though, we are not getting new biomes or giant terrifying leviathans today. I know, I wanted them too. Instead, this update is all about improving the quality of life for players. If you've spent any time watching YouTube videos, hanging out on Reddit, or just playing the game yourself, you've probably seen people talking about some of the mechanics that felt a little rough around the edges. The developers have been listening, and a lot of the changes in the adaptive measures update are things the community has been asking for ever since early access launched back in May. So let's pull up the patch notes and see what Unknown Worlds has been cooking up. If you've been playing the game, you'll know there are several areas that could use a little polishing to make the experience smoother and hopefully a little less frustrating. So let's dive in. So we're going to break up gameplay patch notes into the biomod section and then the quality of life part. For the biomods, they smoothed out biomod progression throughout the early game to give players more opportunities to discover and use the biomod system. They added 2 more biolabs, which are in the Coral Gardens and the Axum Ruins. Players can now unlock a total of 6 biomods from biolabs found throughout the world, up from 4 previously. Players can now unlock additional passive biomod slots by scanning creatures with the bioscanner. Players can now see the number of scans required for each slot unlock and their total number of bioscans. Creative mode now unlocks all biomods by default. They added unlock badges to display newly unlocked items in the biolab. Honestly, I love these changes. If I'm being perfectly honest, guys, I really haven't touched the biomod system very much since early access launched. The only time I consistently used it was because I got tired of chasing water slugs around. The whole system felt like it had a ton of potential, but there just wasn't much reason to interact with it in the early game. Moving more biomods into the early game is going to give players a reason to actually experiment instead of forgetting the system exists until much later. Unlocking additional passive slots by scanning creatures is a really clever idea too, because it rewards exploration and you get to use the scanner feature of being able to find things if you haven't already scanned them. This is what Subnautica has always been about, and I'm very excited to go and play with the Biomod updates. The second part of the gameplay update is more of like a quality of life update. This starts about right here. So, improved the wreck exploration experience with additional traversal and oxygen puzzles. Ensured visual language on doors and buttons is more consistent throughout wreck interiors. Moved and added rewards to reflect the various puzzle changes better. Applied general cleanup, visual adjustment, and standardization across wreck environments. Players are now able to sprint when out of the water, either on the surface or in their base. Added default sprint mapping to allow players to remap sprint in settings, and reduced the default walk speed to balance with the new sprint speed. That's it. We finally have a sprint button. I cannot tell you how many times I have instinctively tried to sprint before realizing, oh right, I can't. I was actually so annoyed by walking everywhere that I made my base smaller just so I wouldn't have to spend 20 seconds extra walking from one end to the other. It's not base optimization. This was desperation deconstruction. I'm also really excited about the wreck improvements. One thing I both loved and hated about the original Subnautica was exploring the wreckage. They were amazing, but I also got hopelessly lost almost every single time and usually drowned because I refused to admit I was lost. Subnautica 2's wrecks haven't given me nearly as much trouble. I only had that happen like one time. But adding more traversal puzzles, oxygen puzzles, and better visual cues sounds like it'll make them even more fun to explore instead of just feeling like a confusing afterthought. It's important to note really quick before we hop into some of these upcoming updates that they wrote that this little scuba mask and snorkeler, this means that this is something the devs took directly from players requesting things on Reddit or Twitter or on their Discord. I'm glad to see they're taking player feedback. I'm very excited about this. Okay. Added proper fleeing behavior for most creatures when attacked by the survival multi-tool, preventing retaliation except defensively for a period afterward. Added a brief dizzy state for most creatures after being hit by the sonic resonator, preventing retaliation except defensively for a period afterwards. Improved particle fish grouping when swimming in groups. Added missing scan data icon for periscopic clown crabs. Added missing scan data icon for the necroli. Revised the creature naming and discovery system to align with the previous game. Improved bloom parasite behavior implementation and made it the primary encounter creature. Balanced the bloom encounter in coral gardens and ruins areas to better align with game progression. Okay, so there's a little bit to unpack here. This section is something that I'm just very excited about. I've mentioned several times during streams that I actually don't mind the fact that you can't just go around killing everything. If you've ever hung out in one of my streams, you already know I'm a huge marine conservation nerd. We're the visitors. We're invading their home. Don't pee in the ocean, guys, unless you absolutely have to. I've never really wanted Subnautica to become an underwater action game. That being said, sometimes the marrow breaches, they absolutely deserve what they get. Being able to stun creatures and make them flee without killing them feels like the perfect middle ground. It adds another layer of strategy without changing the heart of what makes Subnautica Subnautica. Especially once you get into the hot caves. I still have flashbacks to getting absolutely destroyed on stream by 2 marrow breaches at the exact same time. They did not care about my feelings. The bloom parasites were a whole other headache. So seeing those encounters rebalanced is something that I'm really excited to go out and test. Resources. Adjusted several resources to ensure that they have the correct resonatable, and breakable data. Applied additional silver updates in the coral gardens. Added a silver hint dialogue line when near silver areas. This one might seem a little small, but if you've watched anyone play during the first few hours, you'll know silver has basically become the community's favorite hide-and-seek champion, next to lithium. Personally, I didn't mind hunting for it, but I'm definitely curious to see where they've added more silver and how noticeable those new hints actually are. If it saves new players 30 minutes of swimming in circles, I'm all for it. Next up is my favorite part of any survival game, base building. They increased the max deconstruct size of bases. Addressed user experience issues with the vehicle dock and fabricator to improve placement ease and clarity when the build area is obstructed or docking is unavailable. Changed the placement of the vehicle dock and fabricator to fit into smaller rooms and align with hatches and other base elements. Reduced the size of the vehicle dock, platform, and rails to require less space during placement. Improved the readability of placement ghosts when positioned behind objects or intersecting the water surface. Added additional feedback messages to clarify when the moon pool needs to be enlarged for vehicle fabrication or docking. Added a new storage base buildable that does not contribute to nearby crafting systems, allowing stored items to be excluded from recipe completion. There's a lot to unpack in this section, but first, thank goodness they address the base deconstruction issues. I cannot tell you guys how many times I have had to hit refund base because one tiny piece refused to cooperate with me. It was like the game was looking at my perfectly planned base and said, no. Increasing the maximum deconstruct size should make remodeling way easier and hopefully eliminate some of those frustrating moments where one stubborn corridor holds your entire base hostage. The vehicle dock improvements are another really welcome change. Before, you almost needed to build an entire mansion just to fit everything in comfortably. Now it sounds like it should integrate much more naturally into a smaller base design, which is fantastic because not everyone wants to build a mega mansion underwater. And I really like the addition of dedicated storage that doesn't automatically feed into crafting recipes. I know that this sounds like a little feature, probably an insignificant feature to most, but for those of us who organize our storage systems meticulously, This is a huge quality of life improvement. We're going to go through this next section really quickly because this is all very self-explanatory, really. They added a field of vision slider to settings, added a Discord and support site button to the main menu. They reorganized databank entries with further UI visual and layout changes planned for a future update. They created a new art asset for the storage cache, which I'm excited to look at. They added a world tree relic decoration, which can be seen in the trailer as a buildable item. Very exciting because in my base tour video, I was actually complaining about not having enough decorative items. The visual effects indicating which objects are blocking deconstruction and building are now visible through walls. This is another huge point for the base building that I had issues with prior. So I'm glad that they addressed this. They improved third-person animation for players when on land and added eye blank and eye tracking for players, which, okay, sure. Unnecessary, but sure, that's nice. Thank you. Audio logs. And this, okay, guys, this is huge. This makes me so mad every time it happens to me in games. So I'm so glad that they listened to the players' feedback on this one. Audio logs no longer autoplay, reducing confusion, especially in multiplayer where different players could trigger them for everyone. Unlocked audio logs now provide a notification only and are added to the PDA where players can replay them at any time. Replayed audio logs play only for the individual player and continue playing even after the PDA is closed. Thank you, devs, so much for this. Improved the dialogue priority system to better determine which audio plays depending on context, ensuring higher priority callouts take precedent and preventing multiple audio lines from playing simultaneously. Additional improvements to the priority system are planned for future updates, and this might be actually my favorite update in this whole thing, because I cannot tell you how many times I would get a really interesting piece of lore that I would want to listen to with chat because we love the lore. We live for the lore. Give me more lore. But then it would say dehydration. Dehydration. Thanks. Thank you, computer, for messing up my immersion. Thank you, devs, for fixing it. Applied updates for text and voiceover mismatches. Added a temporary radio sound effect to the new voiceover line related to Silver, with final voiceover coming in a future update. Added music to the life pod cutscene. And then for miscellaneous, updated the save system to handle previously unlocked biomods. Woo, let's go. That means that we're probably not going to have to restart the game, which is great. Improved performance and stability of the life pod ride. Added a notice screen on Xbox for non-Game Pass subscribers. There's people that still play on Xbox. Are y'all okay? When attempting to enter the multiplayer menu or join an online session as a Game Pass subscription, any tier is required to play multiplayer. Added an option on Xbox, again, are y'all okay? To report other users in multiplayer. Blink twice if you need help, Xbox users. Revised what information do we collect and how we share your information sections in the privacy policy. The revision is going to actually cover planning to process voice data for upcoming proximity chat, which is going to be in the next update, which will be early access 1.2. There is honestly, guys, there's a lot to unpack and there's a lot to dive into. This is just a quick look at everything because we are going to be streaming this again soon, very soon, to look at the updates. There's a whole laundry list of smaller bug fixes in this update, including base building polish, PDA improvements, storage tweaks, docking improvements, UI fixes, performance improvements. I'm not going to spend the next 15 minutes reading every single bullet point here because realistically, some of these you're probably not even going to notice, but collectively, these are exactly the kinds of improvements that make a game feel smoother without you even realizing why. Overall, this update feels like exactly what Subnautica 2 needed. It's not flashy. There's no giant monsters trying to eat us that have been added, but what we did get is something that will improve every single play session going forward. Now, if you were waiting for new biomes, new creatures, or maybe the next chapter in the story, they're not here yet. They are still on the roadmap, and Unknown Worlds has made it clear that more content is coming soon. This update is about strengthening the foundation before they start building the rest of the walls around this game. And honestly, I think that was the right decision this time. If I had to rate this update after spending over 50 hours playing in Subnautica 2, I'm gonna give it a solid 8 out of 10. Reading the patch notes usually isn't the most exciting thing in the world, but these changes genuinely have me excited to jump back in. And before anyone asks if I think you should start a brand new save, honestly, that's completely up to you. For me personally, I'm restarting. Partly because I want to experience the changes from the beginning, and partly because I need an excuse to get hopelessly distracted building another base. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe if you're excited for everything coming to Subnautica 2, and let me know down in the comments what's your favorite change in the 1.1 early access adaptive measures update, and what are you hoping to see next? Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.